Thank you, listeners, for joining us for today's program. I am your host, Lori Gilbert, here on Elko Live on KELK, and we're so pleased to feature the president of Great Basin College, Joyce Helens. Joyce has had a busy last several months, and in fact, there's some pretty big news, Joyce, that we wanted to let people know in your own words what your plans are for the immediate future.
Hi, Lori. I'm so happy to be here. And I guess it is big news for many people, but it's something that I had been contemplating for a while. So I guess I get to retire a second time at the end of next year, June 30th. But when I was recruited to come to Great Basin, I actually retired from my 11-year position in Minnesota. So I always say retirement didn't work for me, so I tried it again. But I knew it was very important, I felt, to come here and to assume the presidency and to really help the college. I think my prime directive has always been, it still is, to preserve and sustain the legacy of access to higher education in rural areas. And I'm very familiar with Nevada, and my husband's a native Nevadan, and I had been here, as a younger woman, much younger woman, and then, of course, went ahead and went back to school and did all the other kinds of things that young people do. But coming back to Nevada just seemed right for me almost 7 years ago, well, 6 years ago. So the first thing I did when I came is I looked at the budget. And no one really prepared me for what I would find. And I think it's because truly the system didn't really know either. So when I looked at the makeup of the college and the kind of work that was being done and the creativity that was alive and well at GBC, it was astonishing about the budget cuts. And so I remember asking, let's go farther back and take a look. Let's go back to the Great Recession. And then people would give me the eye roll and, oh, it was terrible. And so I would say, well, specifically, how was it terrible? Oh, it was really bad. There were furloughs. We lost people. Well, how many people? And there was nothing really there that was accessible right away, so we had to dig in. And what we found was equally as astonishing. We lost a third of our workforce in the Great Recession. For a very small rural college, that was about 80 positions. That's huge. So we only got back maybe by now 12. So again, what does that mean? Well, for a new president coming in to the area, I realized that meant people were doing more than one job because we were still producing. We were still being successful. So it wasn't actually more than one job. Sometimes it was 3 jobs. People were pretty, I call it crispy. And I also knew that meant I couldn't ask people to do more. They were already doing more. And yet it seemed at that time when I was meeting with the regents, they didn't know this had happened. And perhaps we've all felt that living rurally, it's easy to be overlooked. Or, oh yeah, we know they're out there, but yeah. So not specifically. So I started to talk about the recession and say, here's what's happened, and then show that in charts and graphs. And when we, as presidents, present, it's called metrics presentations, we really only deal with 2 years, or maybe 3. I went back this last time to the board, all the way to the Great Recession, because we have new board members, as you know. And I wanted people to understand the bigger picture. And that was that we were a successful college, bringing access to higher education to rural communities, and we were doing it on bread and water. So, and we were also facing how are we going to fund the cost of living adjustment, which finally came in and was so well deserved and long waited for. But the thing is, how would we pay for it? So I feel like I gave a really good picture to the board because, again, coming in, how can you ask someone to do more with less when that's what they've been doing? And that's when I started having collaborations with the University of Nevada, Reno. And it was with previous president, Mark Johnson. And I remember going to dinner with him, being pretty new here. And he said, so are you a competitor or a collaborator? And we chuckled. And I said, I've always been a collaborator. And I said, so let's start right now. And there on the napkin at the restaurant here in Elko, we started charting out what we would do. When President Brian Sandoval came in, we ramped it up because he's such a wonderful partner to us because, of course, he knows Nevada, but he loves rural Nevada, and he knows rural Nevada. So he said, let's even do more. So we call that our collaborations. We do that through memorandums of understanding. We call them MOUs. I think we have, we alphabetize them. We're on Q now, so A through Q. So most of our operational processes, all the back office stuff, that's all done through UNR. Our phone system, security systems, everything through UNR. It has saved us so much money. Initially, the resources that it saved us were human resources. So if I had a person who was doing 3 jobs, they only had to do 2, and then they only had to do their own 1 job. And then if we started saving money, because it took a while, because first we were just eliminating the stress on people, then I was able to take that funding and put it directly back into hiring faculty and making sure we had classes for students. So it has paid off hugely. What I've also enjoyed working with President Sandoval, he has always said, we understand autonomy is important. And even though University of Nevada started right here in Elko, and he said, I understand the importance of Great Basin College being and staying Great Basin College. So ultimately, our conversations led us to what would happen if. And the if was, what happened if we even had a stronger collaboration and we're under your tent, is what I would call it. And then we had our teams meet, and this has now been almost 4 years, and said, ultimately, is it possible we would become a college within the University of Nevada, Reno, maintaining autonomy, Great Basin College, same people, same direction, same geography? And the answer was yes. Our accrediting body was really surprised and pleased because they said, wow, we never hear of people like working together, these organizations. Usually they're competitors. And we said, no, because we use the phrase our students, not mine or yours, ours. And we wanted to create what I call, and I've mentioned before appearing with you, the well-lit path. So anything that will benefit students in our communities, that's what we're working towards. So this next year, it is possible, and nothing, is a done deal. And every day or every time we met, I would say, is this still a good idea? Because we really want to maintain our flexibility again. And if it wasn't, we all agreed we would just cease those operations. But they've been very successful. So right now we're looking at taking this next year and seeing, we're working with the U.S. Department of Education. Is this possible? And if so, it would be concluded at the end of next year, academic year, so in June. And it's just seemed like a good time for me then to retire. I'm a strong advocate. I feel like Nevada is home, so I'm staying here. And I look forward to even being involved in some way, perhaps just a volunteer. But again, I can cease a job, but not the philosophy that brought me to this profession. I believe so much in helping students in rural communities.
Joyce Helens is president of Great Basin College as she's announced her retirement in 2024 that coincides with this consolidation with UNR. And I'm sure over the coming months and weeks, Joyce, there'll be opportunities for the community to participate. And I also wanted to give you a chance to talk about, I think it's been suggested that maybe your retirement along with the president of Southern Nevada College may coincide with funding formula issues. Would you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, well, first of all, my decision is based solely on what I've just spoken about. I didn't even actually know Dr. Federico Zaragoza was retiring, but he's been here 5 years. And of course, the College of Southern Nevada is 30,000 students. It's extremely complex. And I do believe, though, that he knew that this would be his last position. So I don't believe that either of our retirements are based on anything about funding. For me, I feel like I have done what I could successfully, and then now it'll be time for someone else to take it to that next level as we're part of University of Nevada, Reno. I also think, just generally speaking, if it wasn't with UNR, that maybe there needed to be a College of Northern Nevada as there was a College of Southern Nevada, because each time there are inequities. If you have larger population, there are simply more resources. And when you're Western or GBC or even TMCC, which is the largest of us here up north, we're still outranked in terms of resources. Also, I think, we do have a tiered system in Nevada, and on the bottom is the community colleges, and then the state college, which is now called the university, and then our two R1 universities. So we have the lowest tuition. We also have the lowest salaries, and then it progresses up from there. How we're funded, it is not one size fits all. I mean, I think we're one state. I like that we're one system. I think that's important. I look at the system office more like a corporate office. But I do think that it's not one size fits all. So something that might work at a university would not work at a community college. We're first of all, we're more flexible. We're quicker. We do what we need to do. We're used to that. And we access a population that may not believe that they're college material. That's like a whole nother show. Because people today still, students, are told you're not college material. To me, higher education is not just like at a degree. It could be a certification. It could be an industry standards piece of paper. It could be a few courses on how to drive a truck. But that can lead you somewhere else. So that well-lit path is what higher education is all about. So you know how you hear people say, we don't need a 4-year degree, or we don't need a degree. Okay, I mean, I agree with that, but we need higher education. That's something past post-secondary, or secondary rather, and everyone needs that because it always leads to something else. So you can, lucratively here in the area with gold lining, you could go out of high school and get a good job. And then you become, you get all the toys, and then you become prisoner of that. I want to make sure that there are students who can say, can I be the foreman? Can I be the manager? Can I own a business? And we want that to link. So transferability was really important when I started working with UNR. And they were very willing. Now, academics, by the way, is the most difficult. You could do all the back office stuff, all the, but when you get to academics, it's difficult. Because you have faculty who may think, let's say at a university level, that community colleges are less than. And of course, we're not less than anyone. But when you get people together who are willing to work together, they say, this coursework, it is just as good as ours. It's robust. And then, and this faculty member, they know what they're doing. And then we looked for those, I call them the champions, those champions who were willing to work together, and that kind of paved the way, because transferability is key. And I really still believe that as the closer we get to being under that tent, it's even easier for transferability because you're part of that system. Also, one application. I mean, I think we had a 3+1 social work degree. We had to really, we're rethinking, because right now you have to apply to us and you have to apply to UNR. It's foolish. You're on your 3rd year, you need 1 more year for your baccalaureate, and now you've got to apply all over. And there are people, it's just too much trouble, and then they weren't completing. So we're actually thinking of creating our own baccalaureate there until we can work things out well enough that it's seamless. So I know that, doesn't all this make sense? It seems common sense, right? But in the world of academia, it's like earth-shattering. The fact that the university and we are working together in this way, nationally, people can't believe it. That's always kind of funny because it's common sense to help students in your area, and it's our students.
And certainly that's that goal of Nevadans, as you said, working with neighbors and rural neighbors and then their urban counterparts. And I'm glad that you mentioned the couple of aspects about lower tuition and even salaries, but I think parents and students listening might say, but if we're in collaboration with UNR, will it be more expensive to go to Great Basin College?
That's a great question, because the answer is no. We stay the same. So it's amazing that we would have our autonomy, our name, our tuition levels. Now, of course, that's also salary levels, so it means that people aren't just going to be making a lot more money. But that's what we're working through right now with U.S. Department of Education, that we can maintain that autonomy, because otherwise we wouldn't do it.
And I know it was described, I think, in your email that GBC would be a college within UNR.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So, as you said, though, maintaining its autonomy, what does it compare to anything else, or are we a model for the nation, would you say?
Well, I think the way we're doing it is a model for the nation. I know of others that have done it. I'm thinking of Perimeter College in Georgia with Georgia State. And then in Alaska, the University of Alaska system, the Anchorage Community Technical College became a college within. In each, and then there are also a combined system in Minnesota and many others. But they all happened because somebody was in trouble. So that's where we stand out. Our accrediting body, Northwest, said, you're thinking forward. We just don't see this. It's really unfortunate, isn't it? Because why wait till you're in trouble to do something, to fix something? Why not look down the path and say, how sustainable are we in the next 5, 10, 15 years? And given the cuts that we've seen, and then we were able to offer COLA to our faculty and staff with not laying anyone off. But how often can we do that? You can't make more people move to the rural areas. We have expanded with online programs, but still that can be limited because we have limited resources. So hopefully now we bring value to UNR in the online presence because we really are the online leader in NSHE. So I think we can bring something to UNR where they can have more programs online. And I know when I've been talking about this for at least a couple of years out in the communities that we serve, it has always been extremely positive because people are saying, oh, I remember when. So in Ely, I was told there used to be a master's degree from UNR online that is no longer. Can we bring that back? And the answer is yes. We were hoping to bring back lots of new programs, so easy transferability. Even in Winnemucca, a student leader told me, I live here, I work here, I have a family. I love that I can go to school here. I can't advance, though, past my baccalaureate. Are we going to be able to get a graduate program? And the answer is yes, we're looking at that. So when you see the advantages to our rural communities, it is exciting. We had a couple of, we went to all of our locations, it was just post-pandemic, and said, here's what we intend to do. So we haven't kept it a secret at all. But what we want to do now is we're going to, hopefully, I'll be able to present at City Council to the county commissioners, and then have just a broader audience understand this is really an opportunity for us, one, to sustain the legacy of higher ed in rural Nevada. That's number one. And then to present a bigger option package for our students and communities. I also love the idea that it all started in Elko. We still have that bell, the bell that's out. That was from the University of Nevada. So to me, it's full circle, but it's also honoring that legacy of higher ed that was started here in Elko by our founders.
Joyce Helens is president of Great Basin College, and I know we're nearing the end of our interview. We sure appreciate your time. I wanted to know did you want to talk about workforce development at all? Because a lot of this has been happening simultaneously as you're working to enhance our relationships with mining, for example.
Yes, we've created the Mining Center for Excellence. It's actually the Mining Center. Within the Mining Center is an academic program called Mining Center of Excellence. That's just this little detail of academia. But we've created a new program, a degree, to be presented in high schools. So it's dual enrollment. It other than just getting out of high school and getting a job in the mine, we're saying let's really help you understand metallurgy. Let's help you understand geology, because you can see a much farther pathway. Oh, I could do that. I could do that. And we call it intrusive advising because you really get in there and talk to students about what they can do. And you find that students make better decisions because they're saying, when we're young, very young, we're thinking, what's in front of us? Big paycheck, yeah. But there are students who are saying, oh, if I complete this, I might be able to go further. I might be able, again, to go into management or be a foreman or open my own business. To me, this is important. We create, good citizens and good workers, but it's careers for life and lifelong learning. So we're really proud of that. And then we'll do incumbent training. And Sam Spearing, Dr. Sam Spearing is he's the head of the mining center. We've had this all approved by the Board of Regents. So now we're ready to renovate the building. We have the building that we assumed from
the city, I think.
Yes,
the old armory.
The
right.
armory and the National Guard Armory, and the city council gave us, unanimous. So it was over a year ago now, year and a half. So we have the keys, and now we're working in partnership with the University of Nevada. And I am very hopeful after talking, this is already a year ago, with the Nevada Gold CEO, Mark Bristow, who said they really wanted to be a strong partner in helping us renovate the building. So we have big plans for equipment coming in, maybe even a mobile lab to take out. But we really want to support mining, and we want to support it in the way that perhaps hasn't been before. And we want to put an umbrella over all of the wonderful things that both UNR, through the Mackey School, and GBC have done for the last 50 or almost 80 years. And say we're doing it together. So this is very exciting, and I have to admit it's a very exciting end for me because I brought this concept with me, having worked in Alaska with mining and gas and oil. I knew that we could do it, but we needed a partner, and it took working with UNR. That's a wonderful partner.
And something else that should be wrapped up by the time you're ready to retire. There's some construction on campus, right?
Yes, we finally got that welding lab going on. It's both demolition and increase of space. We'll be able to operate 24/7 and double our enrollment because we know, of course, welding, it's something we can do 24/7, and there's never enough welders out there. So we're very excited about that. We have lots of other new grants coming. That could be a whole nother program in nursing, and we still remain #1 nursing program in the state of Nevada.
That is fantastic. And then you've also you've made recent inroads in mental health awareness and the initiatives there with a grant you received and through the Great Basin College Humanities Center. Joyce, I think the community has really appreciated that return to coming on campus and the outreach.
Yes, it's really important when you've heard a lot about mental health and particularly how people have suffered through the pandemic, but it's always been there for our students and we're aware of it. And there's still that taboo to talk about it. But we started talking about it in a different way, to say the arts are healing. And, we talk a lot about workforce, but really it's just one hand, the other hand, they all go together. And you can't be a good worker without being a good citizen and vice versa. So liberal arts, I think, go hand in hand, actually, with technical programs. And this idea that the arts are healing, I also think that it connects very much with cowboy poetry and things that the Folklife Center is doing. We wanted to start a new degree in folklife, and so I think it's like, what are we already doing that doesn't connect yet? Let's connect what we're doing, and then let's put an umbrella over it, I call it. So it could be a whole new degree in folklife, whether it's verbal or written, or the arts. So I know we've started doing some of that. We had that first program, we just kind of opened it up, and I think a couple hundred people showed up. So that people are hungry for that. And I think it's a healthy way to approach actually mental health.
Joyce Helens has been our guest today, and we've covered a lot of ground, and I know that you probably have other topics, but since this was brand new and the announcement came, we wanted to give you the opportunity to speak firsthand. Do you think we got to everything for now? Or?
I think we did. You can tell I'm always enthusiastic about Great Basin College. It is a wonderful place. I don't just say that lightly. It's proven. We have that evidence, and we just want to make sure it's around in forever, and we want to make sure it's strong and that it has opportunities to grow. And I think that does come from reaching out and collaborating with our partner, University of Nevada, Reno.
We'll look forward to a future visit. Do you think that President Sandoval might be coming to the community soon and we can have this conversation?
Yes, he's just gotten back from, he was with the university over in Spain with Basque Country, and I know he just got back yesterday, so I'm sure he'll be very excited to talk about this as well.
Oh, that'll be fantastic. Thank you. And in the meantime, if people do have questions, we know we have a college foundation. There are different ways that people can become engaged with Great Basin College.
Yes, we have an institutional advisory committee, the IAC, and we're always looking for, John Tierney is chair. We're always looking for new members, and basically this is being a steward for the college and giving us advice and also taking our good message out to the communities that we serve.
Thank you, Joyce Helens, president of Great Basin College, in announcing her retirement next year, June of 24, and the work that is continuing in the collaboration consolidation efforts with the University of Nevada, Reno. Thank you, listeners, for joining us today here on KELK.